There's a lot of mystery surrounding the character of Spamton. On the surface, he appears like a random meme character, but the more you play the game, you start to realize just how dark of a character he is. Today, I'll try my best to unravel some of the secrets that surround the character of Spamton. Most of the info that we can get comes from his dialogue. He has multiple ways of talking to us. First, by regular dialogue, which is mostly unimportant. Second, by talking in brackets, which is important. And third, being the most important, is when his eyes become black or turn into static. We first meet Spamton when going through the dark alleyway after getting out of the Queen's car. He introduces himself as everybody's favorite #1 rated salesman 1997. When he sees Chris, he gets really hyped up. Hey Avery, it's me. Everybody's favorite #1 rated salesman 1997, Spamton G. Spamton. Whoa, if it isn't a Lightner. Looks like you're all alone on a late night. All your friends abandoned you for the slime you are. Sales go down the drain. Living in a goddamn garbage can. Well, have I got a special deal for lonely hearts like you. If you've lost control of your life, then you just gotta grab it by the silly strings. Why be the little sponge who hates the $4.99 life when you can be a big shot? Big shot. Big shot. That's right, now's your chance to be a big shot. And I have just the thing you need. That's hyperlink blocked. You want it? You want hyperlink blocked, don't you? Well, have I got a deal for you. All you have to do is show me your heart-shaped object. You're a lightner, aren't you? You've got the light. Why don't you show it off? After all the random nonsense that Spamton spits right into your face, the battle ensues. The fight is fairly easy because Spamton only has a handful of attacks that he uses on you. During the fight, Spamton makes a deal with Chris. After that, he reveals that he also used to be a big shot. When talking about his job, he says that he was only ever in it for the freedom. After accepting the deal, Spamton says that he will give Chris the deal insurance for 1000 kroner, a price so low that everyone he knows is dead. He also mentions that Chris is just like him, desperate. When the fight concludes, Spamton tells Chris to come to his shop, alone. After getting to the shop, the player is given several things to talk with Spamton about. While talking about their deal, he gives Chris the keygen and tells them to go to the basement and get the empty disc. He also mentions the year 1997 again. When asked about the night, Spamton is about to reveal something, but then gets freaked out and starts profusely apologizing. While all of this is important, it can't compare with the amount of crucial information we get when asking about his friends and fears. When asked about his friends, Spamton says, "Me? Friends? Chris, you and me are already friend request accepted. We don't need anyone else. We don't need easels or CRTs. We don't need any man, woman or child at a half price. We don't need Mike. Mike. Chris, don't believe anything you see on TV. The man's a criminal, I'll tell you. A criminal." And if you ask him about fears, he says, "What are you afraid of according to the Encyclopedia of Being Afraid? There's nothing to fear except..." Can anyone hear me? Help. Huh? What? No, I didn't hear anything just now. But it sounded like they were talking to you. There's a lot of things to unpack here, but we're not done yet. Trust me, this will all make a lot more sense soon. After collecting the disc from the old machine and getting out of the basement, we can ask this guy about the basement. He says, "What? Basement? There's no basement here. You need to relax, have a drink, and talk softly. You're bothering the other customers." Chris gives Spamton the disc, and Spamton transfers his data onto the disc. Putting the disc back into the old machine results in the birth of Spamton Neo. Spamton tells Chris that with this power he won't be a puppet anymore. But then he realizes that he's literally hanging from the strings. He says that it's still dark, and that he needs to be bigger. So he tries to take Chris's soul, but gets stopped by Susan Drolsey. During the Spamton Neo fight, he keeps talking about freedom and heavens watching him. It's important to note that one of his attacks consists of him receiving a phone call. At the end of the fight, Spamton is only hanging by a single thread. He thinks that Chris is trying to gift him his freedom, so he encourages them to cut the wire. Afterwards, Spamton's body falls to the ground, lifeless. It seems after all I couldn't be anything more than a simple puppet. But you three, you're strong. With a power like that, maybe you three can break your own strengths. Let me become your strength. Those were Spamton's last words. When inspecting the shadow crystal that we get after the fight, Chris thinks that they saw the computer lab for a brief moment. Hey, so are we seriously not gonna talk about any of that? That was goddamn weird. Puppets, strings, hands. What the hell does any of this mean? And the way he just broke. I don't think it means anything, Susie. It seems like it was just a corrupt program. He turned into our ally, so let's just accept it. Chris, you got goosebumps. You okay? No. Chris, are you okay? You're yelling. There, everything's alright. Don't think about what happened too hard, okay? Just take some deep breaths and think about something you like, something nice, something soft. I'll be right next to you until you feel better, Chris. Guess Ralph is right, Chris. Whatever just happened, I guess, maybe didn't mean anything. I don't know why you came here, but let's just be glad you didn't get killed. Just tell us next time. You're gonna do something stupid like this, okay? This interaction happens after the Spamton fight, and it just adds to the eerie feeling of it. There's only one piece of information left. When returning to the junkyard after the fight, the following interaction plays. He was like the rest of us, just a little unlucky. For some reason, his products never seemed to hit, and the lighteners never even looked his way. Poor guy. Night after night, when we all went to the same cyber grill, he'd shoot his mouth about making it big someday. You just watch. Someday, I'm gonna be a big shot. He started to get a little desperate. I heard him starting to look for any way to become popular. Somehow, he made the right phone call and found someone, or was he found by someone? They must have been helping him because suddenly, he was on the phone all the time. Suddenly, he got really good at his job. The clicks started to pile up. What? What did he do? Why did he deserve this? We were all so jealous of him. We stopped going out with him. I mean, wasn't he a big shot? He didn't need us anymore, did he? Even so, he only got more and more successful. He moved into a luxurious room in Queen's mansion. He started bragging about big TV deals, big cars, big commercials, but then things started to crack. It seems like whatever was helping him disappeared. His sales dropped to zero, and everything came crashing down. The day he was to be evicted for Queen's mansion. I went to his room to check on him, but he wasn't there. There was only a phone hanging off the handle. He must have left it in the middle of a conversation, because I could still hear someone on the other end. But when I put the receiver to my ear, there was nothing but garbage noise. With that, we have all the information laid on the table. All that's left to do is try and make some sense of it. So, let's start from the beginning. Now, I'm going to read the dialogue that we see when Chris and Spamton meet for the first time, and you'll realize just how uncanny the whole sequence is. Specifically, the most important parts. All your friends abandoned you for the slime you are. This references the fact that Spamton started acting like a jerk towards his friends after his sales went up. Sales, gone down the drain. This talks about Spamton's descent into madness, right after the person who was helping him stopped calling him. Well, have I got a special deal for lonely hearts like you. If you've lost control of your life, then you just gotta grab it by the silly strings. Silly strings obviously being a reference to Spamton Neo, who is hanging from the strings. Do you remember when Spamton said that Chris is just like him, desperate? He was right. Chris is desperate, and they are just like Spamton. Both Chris and Spamton lost control of their lives. Chris doesn't have control of their life because they are being controlled by the player. But what about Spamton? Well, Spamton is probably being controlled by someone as well. We can establish this after defeating Spamton Neo. When we defeat him, Spamton actually talks different. He talks normal. There's no any insane random crap in his dialogue or any brackets. We see glimpses of the real Spamton only when his eyes turn dark or turn into static. Everything else is some kind of insane mind control or something like that. But who's actually controlling him? Well, the first candidate is Mike. The Deltarune community did their fair share of theorizing about Mike, and some theories are decent, but some of them are, well, let's say questionable. People think that Mike is controlling Spamton, or that Mike will even be the main villain in Deltarune Chapter 3, but I'm not really sure about that. But Mike definitely played a big role in Spamton's life, and was probably the one who ruined it. Spamton refers to Mike as a criminal, which obviously means that Mike did something horrible to Spamton in the past, specifically in the year 1997. Spamton says to Chris that they should not trust everything they see on TV, which means that he met or saw Mike on the TV at first. Now, how exactly did Mike ruin Spamton's life? Well, to be honest, I have no idea. There's no any concrete evidence or clues that I can use, but I guess we'll probably find out something more in Chapter 3, at least I hope. The other candidate for the person who is controlling Spamton is obviously the man himself, W.D. Gaster, which in my opinion is more likely than Mike. We actually have evidence for this. When we talk with the last Edison, they say that they went to Spamton's room to check on him, but he wasn't there. There was only a phone hanging from a cable, and when they put the phone to their ear, there was nothing but garbage noise. This is the exact same sound that plays when Chris tries to use the phone in the dark world, and this sound is also referred to as entry number 17, which is obviously associated with Gaster. But if Gaster is the one who is controlling Spamton, then who or what the hell is Mike? What's his purpose and the meaning in this story if the Gaster is the one behind Spamton? This might be a little bit far-fetched, but it's not impossible that Mike and Gaster are actually one and the same. Hear me out. At the end of Chapter 2, we see a mouth of an unknown person covered in static appear on the TV. If this face is actually Mike, like a lot of people think it is, then the Gaster and Mike are the same person theory actually works really well. So the static on TV and the static in Spamton's eyes is connected with Mike, but the garbage noise is associated with Gaster. When you're watching TV and static randomly appears, what do you hear? That's right, garbage noise. The weirdest thing of this all is the fact that Chris saw the computer lab after looking into the shadow crystal. The computer lab is not to be confused with the computer classroom in which the entirety basically of Chapter 2 is taking place. And the first thing I thought about when hearing about the computer lab is the true laboratory in Undertale. Now, what does Spamton have to do with the true lab? Well, I'm as clueless as you are. Trying to piece information when talking about Spamton, it just sends you into such a large rabbit hole that you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. I pieced all of the information I could and tried to make some sense of it. But with all the things that I unraveled, I'm still very far away from the truth. What do you think? Is Spamton controlled by Gaster, Mike, or something entirely else? Guys, thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one.